now tuning in to the Going North podcast with your host, bestselling author and professional speaker and member of the John Maxwell team, Dominic Dom Brightman. And every Monday and Thursday, we're going to hear the voice of a different author sharing their gifts, stories, and expertise to help you charge forward in life. Now let's get on with the show. And today on the Going North podcast, we bring you some fabulous humans from across the globe. Today is no different. Because we got another fabulous author in the building. But what makes today's author different is that we got someone all the way from Sweden, y'all. This is the first ever Swedish person on this podcast, because this wonderful lady right here, she's been a Swedish visionary, world changer, and thought leader for years, who's been in the forefront of the conscious movement for more than a decade. And this fabulous, gifted entrepreneur and spiritual teacher is in her own stellar academy, where she's the creator of different popular spiritual programs, both online and offline. And after a near-death experience, her psychic gifts magnified, and she is now considered one of the world's leading experts in psychic self-defense, astral work, and where she's often described as the Oracle from the movie The Matrix. So you get to have all the blue and red pills today, folks. And as a gifted clairvoyant and medical medium, she has created the popular healing modality, multidimensional healing, which has practitioners all over the world. And as her life path number 7, her passion and life purpose is to share her wisdom, which she succeeded in her and many of her best-selling international books. So let's give it up for the fabulous EAM, Miss Eleonor Amora Marklund. How you doing today, ma'am?
Hi, and thank you so much for inviting me to your show. And I'm feeling wonderful. It's so great to be here or be there. I like it when you can do these connections.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. The Chinese finger trap has begun, so now you're stuck in my zone of nonsense for the next 5,000 hours.
Wonderful. It sounds just like the doctor ordered.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. That's right. It's going to be the white chocolate connection for the next 5 hours. That's right. We're going to be talking about nothing but camels and penguins. It's going to be great.
Wonderful. We don't have the camels, though, but perhaps a penguin. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, that'd be awesome. Probably take a selfie next to a penguin, maybe, if it doesn't attack me.
Mm-hmm. Or polar bear. Many people think we have polar bears here, bears here, but we don't.
Oh, okay. All right. I won't even go near the polar bear.
Me neither.
Because I don't trust those Coke commercials. They make them look friendly, like, nah, fam, they might eat me alive. It's like, hey, it's a giant piece of chocolate, dude. We're about to have Thanksgiving, and we don't even celebrate it.
It would be quite strange to meet them. I would be afraid. Really, really afraid.
Yes, indeed, but it ain't about fear, it's about Eleanor. So, as with all introductions, there's always the behind the first page of the resume that people forget and that are filled with cavities that folks need to fill. So, mind telling us a bit more about who is the excellent Eleanor?
Well, who am I? I am a mother of 2. I have a little boy. He is way taller than me. He's turning 19. And I have a little girl who's 6 years old. And I live here with my husband at our farm, where I breed horses here at our farm. So that's what I do in my spare time, because I don't have any spare time. I have a mission to change the world. And that is my heart. It's in my heart. It's in my soul. I can't I can't relax until I have made the difference, the impact I want to make. And I am using this time now during the pandemic to change the world, and I am taking the time to write. I've been writing a lot this year, and I have published several books, um, and right now we are publishing the third, and I have a fourth one too coming up. And when you realize that you are enough, that you can do anything with your life, with your life purpose, and realize how amazing you are. And I think that's the common theme in the theme in all the books, actually. I think it is about healing patterns, healing wounds, to be whole, so that you can be free to do whatever you want to do in your life. So we have published one book called Empire Moms, and it's about how I, together with other women, how we have created empires, been entrepreneurs and being moms at the same time, and how we did it. Because when I grew up, I thought about how I was supposed to be, everything from how your parents see you to how your teachers see you, to how society sees you. And I was supposed to be a certain way, and I was supposed to work a certain amount of hours each week, the muggle way of living. And it worked a while, until I realized I was working as a spiritual teacher then too, and I had to have a family to take care of my child, because back then, it was 10-15 years ago, and back then I was a single mom, and I didn't have anyone to help me except for that family. So they took care of my son when I was having classes, and I was having classes in different regions of Sweden. And then suddenly I had this, awakening. I called my mother. I was on this fancy hotel, and I had a big class, and I called her and I cried, and I said, like, "Oh my God, Mom, it's Friday night and I'm all alone, and I don't have the time to be with my son. I am letting other people enjoy his childhood, and doing fun things during the weekend. And I said, I can't do this any longer. I can't do everything for everyone else any longer. I have to change this somehow." It was then that I decided that, okay, I'm not going to travel to everyone else in order for me to meet everyone else's needs there where they live. Because if they want to meet me, they can come to me. So I started my own center and academy. I had an academy before too, but I had it now on a center on a farm where I lived. And I sent out the news to my students and clients, like, okay, this is a big change and you're welcome here. And it could have been a total disaster, of course, because I didn't know how they were going to react. But they came. They decided to come to me instead. So I didn't have to travel and leave my child. And that was the start for my empire, or how you want to see it, because then I've done some major changes. I have written several books, and I have online classes, and now I have a husband and a little child, my daughter, and we have brought her when I have had some retreats or workshops or courses abroad. So I am practicing world schooling now because I'm bringing her. And my son he's so old now, so he doesn't want to come. But she loves coming with us when we're doing that. So I have my focus to I let the children decide much, um, and well, not for my son now because he has a girlfriend and he's turning 19 years old now, so he wants to be without his mommy. But to do that and to include the family in everything I do now and to bring them, it has been both, it's a freedom to be able to do that because I'm not forced into the 9 to 5 routine, and that feels amazing. And I'm creating my life around that so that I can have that freedom to work whenever and wherever I am. So that's the first lesson I'm teaching people now. After that book that was published in, I think was published in April or something, we had another book published in May, and it's called Phoenix. And in Phoenix, I am writing about the worst time in my life. It's also a book project, so there's several writers, and it's all about rebirth. When you have gone through some hard times and you have come stronger on the other side. Because I was married in the past to a narcissist who tried to kill me, and those years, of course, they were the hardest time in my life. I suffered a depression and a burnout, and and I also tried to commit suicide because he told me that I wasn't worth to be alive. I wasn't worth to be a mother. I wasn't worth to be a wife. And after a while, I believed everything he said, and he tried to crush me. But then I had this near-death experience, and I survived.
Sweet. So it's a lot to unpack there. It's really a lot to unpack. It's like, all right, so how was she at 13? Then get to the old narcissist part. So
Yeah,
how were you able to heal through that process of after surviving the murder attempt and even surviving the suicide attempt and stopping yourself from suicide? Like, how are you able to find that self care, that self love for yourself to be able to recover from that?
yeah. After the near-death experience, I just felt that I just knew that I had to leave him. I had to go away because I wouldn't have survived if I had stayed. And I have been spiritual my whole life. I have been clairvoyant my whole life, and it was almost as if I just saw, I just understood, I just felt in my heart that I needed to stay away from him, and I needed to go as far as possible. So I left to my hometown, and what I saw is that I started to see my energy field again. I started to understand how the energy field worked. I started to, because when you are that depressed, your thoughts are just going haywire. You are just in a spiral of negative thoughts. And I bought a book for myself. It was a Christmas present for myself, and I bought. It's called The Secret. And um, I had been reading these kind of books before in the past, but this time I had an awakening when I realized that I am not the victim of my thoughts. I can control them. I don't have to be in the spiral, where the thoughts are going on and on and on and on and about how bad I was or how afraid I was, because of course I was really, really afraid of him afterwards. So what I what I started to do was that I started to controlling my thoughts. That when I thought about him, every time I thought um, something that made me feel worse, that made me feel scared or anything like that, I decided to stop that thought in the middle of it, and I focused upon something else. And from the beginning, it's not that easy to, you can't really think happy thoughts after you have thought about, oh my God, it's going to kill me. Uh, but I decided to think some thought that was going to be better than the one I decided to stop. So it could be just I started to think about, oh my God, it's snowing outside, or it's sunny outside, or it's an orange on the kitchen table. Everything was better than he's going to try to kill me. And what's happening is that you have patterns in the brain, and those are when you stop a thought, it's electrons in the brain. There's scientific studies about this, that when you do it like that, you are creating new patterns, new thoughts. And if you hear the little meow, it's my kitten in the background. And you're creating new thoughts, new pattern of thoughts. And and it didn't take me that long until I I realized it got harder and harder to go into the negative spiral, because it was easier and easier to be on the new pattern, the new roads in the brain that I made. So that way, that was how I started it. And I started to working consciously with my energy field, because as I said earlier, I have been clairvoyant my whole life. I have been able to see energies my whole life. I've been able to see and sense the work field. And but when I was in the middle of the disastrous relationship, I couldn't really make anything. I couldn't see clearly. I couldn't feel clearly. I was just no, it was just like being in the mud. It was terrible. But when I was away from him, I started seeing again. I started realizing how entangled my energy system was with his. And that way, I started to separating the energies, the energy field. So that is the beginning of this program, the or a core field program. But I didn't realize it then that it was. But it helped me a lot. And when you are an empath, because I had a burnout too, and being an empath, you feel other people's emotions all the time, if you are not controlling your energy field. And it's not only that you're feeling other people's emotions, but you are taking their emotions into your system. You are there are so many people that aren't able to remove them afterwards. So they don't even know if it's their emotions or others, because it's so entangled. And this is when I have clients, and I have clients from all over the world. And when I scan them for energy imbalances. And this is something I see, well, 99.99% of the time, that their energy fields are completely entangled with everyone else's in their surroundings. And most often, many empaths, they have a codependent nature. So they have, almost all the time, they have some kind of family member that's been a narcissist and been treating them badly. And what they have to do, and what I help them to do, is that I separate the field, and I teach them to do it themselves afterwards, because we have to do it consciously. We have to be aware of how the field is working, so that you can control yourself afterwards, because I can't go in as a healer and do it every day for someone. because that's also something that becomes codependent, and I don't want them to be that towards me. So that is why I love being a teacher instead, and teaching them how to do it themselves. In that way, this has been a blessing in disguise, because it showed me more about who I was. Because in the beginning, as an empath, I didn't know, I didn't realize how affected I was when it came to other people. I knew that I was affected when, if you're in a big town and there are a lot of people there, many intuitives and empaths, they get really exhausted, but they don't understand why. Because it's not just that they are seeing so many other things when they are in a big town. It's because they are taking in everyone else's energies. So this is something that's going to help them for the rest of their lives, not just when it comes to relationships, but when it comes to living. And I love teaching about that. That's the foundation in everything that I teach and everything that I write about too. That you have to be able to have healthy boundaries, and in many ways.
Yes, indeed. You're definitely right about that. Definitely right about that. And it kind of really reinforces the fact that you can't have toxic people in your life because that narcissist you're with at the time, it blocked you from your energy and seeing your arc field and really holding you back and having a lid over your potential. And getting away from them allowed you to be able to get closer to your true self and to really get back into the zone where you can really get closer to unleashing your potential and really getting around others that need your gift.
Mm, absolutely.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, since you're a spiritualist and an empath, and it's great to have a empath on the show because they are fabulous, how are you able to combine both spirit and business? Because that's one thing that a lot of folks tend to struggle with. It's like when it comes to the law of divine compensation, it's like, all right, some time, some gifts, some skills, some healing, and it's like, okay, it's time to ask for the fee or to really charge for your gift after a while so that way you can keep food on the table for your family. How were you able to bridge that gap to be able to really get into the entrepreneurial side of your spiritual gift?
It's a good question, because there's, as you say, there are many people struggling with this. But what I tell people is that I am not getting payments for my gifts, but it's for my time. It's for the time I am putting when I have classes or when I have clients. It's the time, just as if an electrician takes 1 hour to do something, I take an hour to do something. Because this is an issue, because this is an issue, also an issue of codependency. This codependency, it comes back all the time in the spiritual field, that we have a really hard time putting ourselves first, seeing our value when it comes to time, when it comes to what I do, that we are really good at giving everything to everyone else, but not to ourselves. And if I don't prioritize myself first, then I'm no good for the world, because I'm going to be exhausted. I can't live that way. And I am trying to tell my students about this, because of course I still have a couple of students that say, oh my god, I have so it's so hard to say how much I want paid, or things like that. And but it gets better when we speak about it that way, when they realize that it's the time. Because most of them, they have had ordinary jobs in the past, and it wasn't that hard to have a salary then, to know that, okay, I'm getting this and that for my 1 hour here. And then you just have to change that thought into what we do here. And of course, um, I would love to be able to, in the best of worlds, I would be a billionaire that could do everything for free. That is my mission and my goal too. No, I'm just kidding. But when I'm doing this, I am having different kind of offers, because some things I do for free. I give advice for free. I write text for free on my website. And then I have the classes, and some are going to think that, oh my God, this is too expensive for me. But okay, then they can go to perhaps a session and do it from there. But what I have also seen during my years now as a spiritual teacher is that when you are really into your life purpose, when you are really working as something that you have in your heart's true longing, when this is really something that I feel in my heart that I want to do, that I love to do, then the universe is there to help you out. You can get paid for what you love to do. We just have to get rid of all the thoughts we have from our childhood. There are so many. I spoke to a client yesterday, and she always wanted to be an author, and she told that to her mother when she was a child, and her mother said, well, authors, they don't get any money. Okay, so that was something she had with her. She heard her mother's words all her life, but she wanted to be an author. But authors, they don't get any pay, they don't get any money. And this is something we have to find these sentences we have in our subconscious and find them and remove them, and understand that of course an author can get a lot of money and from what they are doing if that is something they want. Because and there are so many people also saying that well, there are others who have written about this in the past too, and things like that, but they aren't you. They are not you, the wonderful person that you are. They don't have your experiences. They haven't had your life, your interpretation of different subjects. So it can never get exactly the same. And I think that we always get the students or the clients that are perfect for us, and vice versa. Because I don't believe in competition in that way when it comes between entrepreneurs. I think that if you just stay, if you're just authentic, when you're staying in, this is me, this is who I am, then you're going to find just the persons that want to listen to you. And that is also something that's really interesting, because I have mentorship programs for entrepreneurs. I have many leaders that come to me for mentorship. I have doctors, I have lawyers who comes to me, that comes for VIP days or something like that, or mentorship programs. Because what we understand is that when you are starting to control your field, you are suddenly very easy to read for others. Because when you are entangled in other people's energies, and you're having a discussion with someone who is having their mom's energies there, and their dad's, and their ex, and their, you are also, because everyone is intuitive, and you are sensing other people's thoughts, other people's energies, even if you're not aware of it. So when you are starting to control the field, and you're removing everything that's not you from the field, you are just there in your core, in the exact frequency that's you. And that makes you so much easier to read and to understand, and to attract just the ones that need you. And I love that. I think that's amazing. I love working with people when they realize this and they are like, oh my God, I didn't even know that I was so affected by my mother still. Then they push her out of the field and they realize that, oh my God, I didn't even know why I don't like blue. It's my mother who loves it. And they start realizing who they are. You know, it's like a rebirth. It's wonderful.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, since you're on this little interview train of getting on all these podcasts, especially those with the English language as their main language to work on yours and to keep it sharp, what's a question that you wish you would receive when you're on shows like this?
That was a really good question because I don't know. I don't know because I was so in love with this boy when I was 18 years old. And back then, I was just being like everyone else. And I tried to fit in, which I didn't do even then. And I remember I was walking down the street with him. It was in the middle of this night, this summer night. It was so beautiful. And he asked me, what do you think is the meaning of life? And since I wanted to be like everyone else back then, I said, I don't know. Because I was so afraid that he was going to judge me or just think I was a complete loon if I was telling him about my views of life. Because I had these thoughts, I saw the world like this even back then. And I was like, I think I was 17, like back then or something like that. So when you're asking me that question, like what what question would you like me to give you? I am already when I am writing or speaking like this, I am already, you know, like I am pouring everything into what I do. And I'm speaking about everything all the time. And I'm speaking about my wounds, about my patterns, about my past, about my errors, about everything I have done wrong in the past, so that people can learn from my mistakes.
Sweet. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Especially when you're passionate about what you do and what you know. So, is there going to be a solo project from Eleanor in the future?
It is going to be. It's going to be a solo project called The Spiritual Fly Trap. Because first we're going to publish Awakening, a book now. But then I'm going to publish my own book, solo book called The Spiritual Fly Trap, Wake Up Call for Empaths. And then I'm going to dive deep into the codependent patterns of empaths, patterns we have from childhood, from our families when we grew up, from our relationships, and how to break free from them and how to control that field, and so that we understand that it's about setting boundaries. It's about being enough. You're enough. You're amazing. You're enough, and to stay strong in that feeling. So that's one of the solo projects.
Sweet. Are you going to do them on audio too?
Yeah, I'm going to do at least one or two of them on audio too, because there are so many who are asking for that. So that is my plan. I think many people are going to want to be able to listen to it and just not just read it. So we'll see when it's done. Though I don't know when I'm going to be able to have the time for everything, because I'm not going to be the speaker. I'm going to have someone else do it.
Oh, but we need your voice. Your book.
I can do it in another way, perhaps. We shall see. After I suffered my burnout, I burnouts, they are creating some kind of brain damage, and I have had such a hard time finding the English words afterwards, and I have a hard time with the grammar, because earlier I was actually an English teacher, and I have lost so much after the burnout. I suffered for it for 10 years, so I'm still struggling a bit with the language, and well, I am trying to teach myself that I am good enough also when it comes to that, because I still have this academic standard that I am feeling that I don't reach. And I have, this is my issue that I'm healing with these podcasts, with these interviews, because in the past I would probably not have done this, because I would have felt like I was so bad at speaking English, and just have left it there. But now I'm thinking like, okay, uh, people are just going to have to deal with it, and I have to heal it, that I'm good enough anyway.
Sweet. So English is your second language, right?
Yeah, it is.
Wow. All right. Cool. And an English teacher, no less. Gotta love it.
Thank you.
Ah, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Some self healing. Getting in them reps and sets with interviews and such, and telling your story to the masses and the molasses. That's what I'm talking about right there. That's what I'm talking about right there. Sweet. So coming down the pike here to the question that every guest gets to receive, and that is, if you were to wake up tomorrow and you're 25 again, but this time in 2020, with all of your knowledge and experience, what advice would you give to yourself?
It would be to prioritize myself, to be more, to be better at scheduling in my me time in my schedule too, because I love what I do so much. I love what I do, and that can get a problem sometimes, because I also it gets hard for me to not work, because I love it so much. I love to write. I love to read about this. I love to engage in discussions. But I'm getting better at creating the me time where I'm not doing anything, where I'm getting a massage, or everything like that. And so that is my advice. And also that I am good enough. I am good enough. And that's that's all that matters.
Sweet. Yes, indeed. Definitely got to keep that me time in mind. Definitely got to keep that in mind. That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Even if it's for 5 or 10 minutes, got to at least do it.
Yeah. And it doesn't even, you don't even have to do something that costs. You can do me time and go to sleep an hour earlier, or go down to a lake, or watch the birds, or go for a walk, or just something that's just for you, because you like doing it, and not just for others. uh, the, it's the empaths, like thing. It's so easy, like, oh my god, I can do this, because then I could do grocery shopping at the same time for the kids. I'm like, no, you're supposed to do this for you. You're not just you're not allowed to do anything else in the same time. You have to do this just for you, this 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 hour, or this 15 minutes, or this 5 minutes. It's almost like with when when you have kids when they are small, and you are locking the bathroom, because you want me time, so that you can be in the bathroom for 5 minutes for yourself. And it's hard when you have small children, but children, they're also growing up, so uh, it's coming. and we have to train to uh, to 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 actually take these 15 minutes, not 15 hours, but 15 minutes to create this sanctuary for just yourself, to be there, to feel like you're worth it. I mean, you can meditate, you listen to a meditation or listen to a song and do it completely uninterrupted. I think there's so many ways of doing it. Just feeling like, yes, I'm doing it because I am worth it. I'm worth it. I am good enough, and I love myself.
Nice. That's what I'm talking about, indeed. They could definitely write about the whole locking yourself in the bathroom thing. Got a colleague, she's a mom too, and there's moments where it's like, yep, let me just lock myself in here, give myself some few minutes.
Yeah.
I can't be Wonder Woman 25/8.
No, exactly. It's important to think about that and to realizing that.
Ah, yes, indeed. Don't even need an orange robe and a shaved head for it either.
No, exactly. You don't need that. It's just, you can just be as you are, come as you are, and be as you are.
Ah, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, gotta love it indeed. So, for those who want to come to your site and learn more about you and what you're doing and all your fabulous wares, what's the best way for folks to reach out to you?
The best way is to go to my website, and I am working now on separating the two websites I have, so that one is in Swedish and one is in English. And the English site, it's eleonoramora.com, and the Swedish site is eleonoramora.se. And I also have a Facebook page where they can connect with me, and they can book sessions or book online programs, both on the websites or on the official page on Facebook or on LinkedIn. I'm getting more and more active on LinkedIn too.
Sweet. Well, there you have it, folks. Go on out there. Check out Eleanor's wares, indeed. Check out her site. Check out all the stuff she offers. She even has some guided meditations, and they're in Swedish. So even if you don't understand the words she's saying, it's still great because you get to feel the great positive vibes regardless. Yes,
Yes.
indeed. Yes, indeed. So, any parting words for the folks still listening, Eleanor?
Um, yes. Thank you for starting to realizing your worth, your self-worth, your how amazing you are. Because I think my goal is to wake up one person at a time, and by just starting to finding yourself and to healing your wounds and your patterns, you are you are doing a marvelous job to creating a better world, because we're doing it with ourselves first, and then it's going to be a ripple effect that we're going to affect others. So you're amazing, and thank you for doing everything, and thank you for doing this amazing show too, because you're also a part of this, and creating a better world, and I love that.
Hey there, buddy. Looks like you made it to the end of this episode. Since you made it to the end of this episode, do both of us a favor and stop being greedy. Stop it right now and share this episode with your friends and your fellow podcast lovers, especially those who have book clubs and want to listen to the authors who write some amazing books.